Okay, there are some books that I will never give away because I think they are the top of the top you can find. In this case, Viktor Moskalenko, the Fully-Fledged French, is one of those books. Why? One, because Moskalenko played the French all his life, and he will show it to you in this book. Two, because it's really well done. Moskalenko is a coach and is able to translate his extensive knowledge in over 27 chapters of not theory but information about the French. Information that covers everything, from the pawn structures to tactics, strategies, ideas that you need to have in some positions. And why I'm showing you this book? Because I just show you a game from this book, The Complete C3 Sicilian, in which there was a transposition from the Alpine into the French. As you can see, sometimes you need to study the opening from two different sides because otherwise you are missing something. In this case, the player that the fourth game that I show, it was a very ancient game, so okay, it is what it is. But both players, maybe they didn't have an idea that they went from a Sicilian into a French advance, and the way you must treat the position changes completely. So my point is, guys, that maybe you one day play e4, or maybe you just want to learn about e6, I don't know. But it will happen that you will transpose from one game into another, especially if you play blitz. So you will transpose from an opening into another, and if you know it, you have an advantage over your opponent that you cannot imagine. I have won so many games, not because I'm good, but because I knew that we passed from a Sicilian into a French advance, and so the game wasn't the same. I had to play a little more cautious because I was the black side, but I knew how to play it thanks to the fact that I studied the French. If I didn't study the French, I would have not known. So many people want to improve in chess, but they don't want to put the work. And the work is that unfortunately you have to study a lot of openings in order to see how things change from one thing to another, how they can transpose to one thing to another, okay? In any case, I think it's worth it to show you the treatment of the French advance today. And today, I don't mean really today, because the game I'm going to show you is game 1 of this book, but notice it's already a page like 20. And it was played in 1995. The white player was Konstantinos Nikolaidis, in that time 2300, and the black player is Viktor Moskalenko, 2545, okay? So a grandmaster against a FIDE master. The result may be already known, but we can enjoy, we can enjoy the analysis of Moskalenko and the explanations. So Nikolaidis opened with d4 and Moskalenko played e6. Now, why Moskalenko played e6? Because Moskalenko is a very smart guy and is saying, let's see what you play. If you play c4, whoops, and I go into the Dutch. But when he plays e4, not only, guys, there is a reason that is different. If he plays immediately f5, he needs to know all the theory very well of e4, g4, and so on and so forth. There is a lot of traps in the Dutch. Instead, if you do e6, you have avoided all the possible gambits of the Dutch and you can move on, okay? But when white plays e4, then you actually need to have studied the French, otherwise you are out, okay? And luckily Moskalenko did study the French, and he played d5. Here Konstantinos played e5, and this is the French advance, okay? So c5 and c3, which is again the transposition from this, right? e4, c5, c3, e6, and then what happens is, if he plays e5 or if he plays knight f3, you can play this, and then he plays this, and you play this, boom, and you have the French advance, okay? So in any case, as you can see, there are possible transpositions, and you need to understand them because you will enter a different opening, and if you don't study the openings for this kind of things, you will have a disadvantage, okay? So that's another reason why we do need to study the openings at a certain level. d4, e6, e4, d5, e5, c5, c3, okay? And this is this game played against Moskalenko. After c3, knight c6, knight f3, like I just told you, and here there is a kind of interesting move. A move that I tell you beginners don't understand. The move is knight h6, okay? Here he says a creative possibility which has become much more popular thanks to my previous books on the French defense, the flexible French in 2008 and the even more flexible French in 2015. This book was published in 2021, okay? So it's really new, let's say. Now, when you play knight h6, this is the funny thing. Practically everyone that is a beginner, they will play immediately this. Why? Because they say, ha 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 ha, look what I did, I made your pawn isolated. Yes, but the thing is, you are going to castle on that side, and so you have opened the file for my rook to attack. And so this double pawns are not a disadvantage, are a big advantage for black. However, it's not an ideal pawn structure. Yes, it's true, but again, that file open on your king that will go on this side, I don't know, is not maybe the best thing, right? Okay, with that said, guys, what did black play? Well, it seems the most dangerous answer at this point for two of the grandmaster, which one is still Sveshnikov and the other is Korchnoi, is this move, d takes c5. And here, you know, this is I want to show you why I like this book, because it has these little parts that are color, in which it gives you weapons, a tactical idea, or something that you can actually use in the game or deepen your understanding of the opening. Okay, and so I think it's worth it for that. Then there is half a page of analysis, and even analyze what I just told you. Bishop takes h6, g takes h6, and he says white will try to block the center, blah 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 blah, after the recapture. Okay, blah, blah. Again, there is, my god, it's one entire page of analysis that I cannot give you because you would get lost somewhere and I would get lost too. But How did this game continue? Well, it's with bishop takes c5. Okay. Okay. Now, what does white do? He plays b4. And this is a very interesting move. You know why? Because it gains space, it immediately kicks this and prevents the queen from going there and start to create a problem on f2. Okay? And then there is bishop b6. Obviously, black doesn't retreat. It doesn't want to retreat because it doesn't make any sense. No? But now, white, in this case the Greek player, played bishop takes h6. And here he says there was also other possibilities, like, for example, b5. Okay, this was played by Sveshnikov, which however didn't give him an advantage because, again, Sveshnikov is an expert of a French advance, but Moskalenko is an expert of a French, and so that's the big difference. Okay. So bishop takes h6, g takes h6, and then b5. So what did black do? It seems that you can find a game between Sveshnikov and Moskalenko in which Moskalenko went on e7, but in this game he tried a novelty, knight a5. Okay? Bishop d3, queen e7, and guess what? And white plays castle. As I told you, I mean, watch this. How do you castle on an open file? But unfortunately, at a certain point you have to castle, and this side is not safe for the white king, right? So he can only castle on this side, and he cannot really keep it in the center because the center can be open. So I don't know what to tell you. It's a little strange, this thing. Now let's see how the game continued. Bishop d7, queen c1, attacking h6, and that's why I told you, yes, it's a bad pawn structure, but obviously black has some counterplay. Well, black played with queen f8, defending h6. Okay, and of course, again, you need to finish the opening, which means connect the rooks. Connect the rooks means that you want to bring your pieces toward the opponent's side, right? So what do you do now as white? Queen f4, because queen f4 can go here to prevent him from castling, attacking there, but in any case he starts to free this fourth rank that can be used also to attack. Okay, and black immediately understood that white would play this, so boom, he played this. Now this move is interesting because also this file is kind of semi-open file, but the difference is that white is a little behind in development, in my opinion. Okay. What's the plan here? Obviously he doesn't want to keep the king there, he wants to move it here and probably want to play also this. Okay, so knight bd2, king b8, like I told you, knight d4. So as you can see, both of them are trying to bring the pieces to the opponent territory. Knight g7, rook f d1, and rook c8. and rook a c1. So now you also have an idea of how white develops his rooks. One rook on the d file, one rook on the c file. And now black plays rook c7, and here Moskalenko says that black is slightly better. Why black is better? Because again, if you just write black is better, you don't know why, right? So the reason is, like I told you, that black has active counterplay on the G file and active counterplay on the C file. What does this mean? It means that his pieces are more active than white. So that's why this position is slightly preferable for black. How does our friend continue? He continues with rook c2, rook h c8. So black decided on which side of the board to attack. Knight e2 defending c3, and queen g5. Rook dc1, so there is clearly a fight all around here, and black continue with queen takes f4. Knight takes f4, and now there is a nice move by black. Why it's a nice move? Because black is choosing to activate his dark square bishop. How does he do it? With bishop c5. Because as you can see, here there is only one diagonal that is controlling. Here there are two diagonals with possibilities of defending or moving in a complete different direction. Okay? Tack, tack. So that's what you have in chess when you play long time control games and you use your imagination. Okay, so rook b1, bishop e7, like I told you guys, knight e2, and now it's useless to play bishop g5, right? But bishop g5 was real when this rook was here and the other thing was here, because everybody was on that diagonal, right? But now it's not like this anymore. So you need to change again your plan. What are you doing now? Well, now black probably, like I told you in the other game for the Svesnikov, the Alpine Sicilian, you generally need to activate the central pawn mass to advance. How do you do that? f6. And f6 also gives you another diagonal that you want to have to make this bishop more and more active. Okay, e takes f6, bishop takes f6. And now there is rook b c1, and this is very interesting because with the next move black says, Moskalenko says, that black has a decisive advantage. A decisive advantage. What is the move? The move is e5. Why does he say that black has a decisive advantage? Because he says, as a result of a correct strategy, the black army now dominates the board. And in fact, if you see, these four pieces are all in white's territory. Now the black pieces are controlling and attacking a good part of white's territory. From this point onward, our friend Moskalenko, our teacher Moskalenko, our coach, because he's a coach, he just leave the rest of the game for us to see. So you can see how a grandmaster with a technique convert a position that seems normal, because at the end of the day you have 2, 4, 6 and you have 3, 5, 6, so you wouldn't say that black has won, right? Especially with those two there. and instead for Moskalenko is already a won position for black. So let's see how he converted this position into an actual win. So f3, trying to block the advance of his pawns, bishop g5, rook b1, bishop e6. As you can see, he continued to activate his pieces, rook c, b2, bishop e3, check, rook king f1, rook f8, wow, king e1, and h5. So probably Moskalenko was able to block the weakness on this side, right? This is a back foot pawn. And now he's trying to fight on the other side of the board to create a second weakness so that white's position will collapse. That's the reason of this maneuver, okay? Rook b4, trying to prevent this from going forward. Rook g7, now Moskalenko is bringing all the pieces on the other side, thanks to what? Thanks to the fact that he has a space advantage. Knight g3, bishop f4. Notice bishop f4 prevents this rook from preventing this pawn to move forward. Knight d f1, h4, like I just told you guys. It seems I'm a kind of prophet. Knight e2, and rook takes g2. So clearly Moskalenko strategy is working and is gaining material. Now you say, but look, now white can take it back. Yeah, but the problem is that pawn is worth nothing. Instead here it's a mess, and this pawn was really worth something because now everything is under attack. Everything is under attack. Knight c4, bishop d3, bishop takes h2, bishop takes c4, d takes c4. Notice the importance of this bishop here. Knight e3 attacking the rook g2, rook g5, knight takes c4, h3. Okay guys, as you can see, this has become a monster. Notice that when it's generally just two squares from promotion, well, the truth is that you need to use a rook sometimes to try to block a pawn. So if that happens, clearly white has lost the game. How did white continue? b6. But obviously black doesn't open the position for white, right? What does he play? e6. Knight d2, bishop f4, knight takes f4, e takes f4, and now this pawn, as you can see, is going. Knight e4, rook g2, blocking the second rank, knight f2, h2. Again, it's just one square from promotion, rook d1, bishop f5, rook takes f4, and of course now there is rook e8, the last move of the game, because white resigned. Okay, in this position white resigned. Well, the thing is obvious that white will not be able to stop this probably, so that's kind of interesting. Now he cannot escape, he must go here, right? But if he goes there, I think you can see and find the way to win in this position. Eventually pause the video and find out how. Okay, I hope you pause the video and you saw very simply that this move brings you in a checkmate. That's the name of my channel, right? Mr. Checkmate. So the problem is that rook e8 you have clearly a problem. If you use this to block it, you get checkmated here, right? So what do you do in this position? That's why I said this, but it doesn't work. And if you go here, well, I'm sorry to say, but also in this case, the position is terrible, right? And white has lost. So I thank you very much for watching this video. This was Viktor Moskalenko, the Fully-Fledged French. I believe it's a very good book if you are interested in learning the French, or also if you are just interested in broadening your understanding of chess, because Moskalenko here gives you all the pawn structures, the plans, the tactics, so you don't have to really memorize it. Just go through the games in the book and you will see a lot of stuff you would have never imagined. Okay? And so that's why I think it's a good book. Thank you very much for watching again.